And I went into this room, and there's all these women clustered in a corner, and like maybe 5 or 6 women, and like four of them are facing us, and then two of them, one's facing the opposite way, and one's kind of sitting on this bed, facing the other way. And we come in, and it's cold, and they're just kind of standing there in their normal dress. And uh, I asked through the translator again. This is all through a translator. None of them are speaking English, but again, to shorten the story, I ask, one of the women some question, and they don't want to answer. And I ask again, and they don't want to answer. And they're just kind of like really like not making eye contact, and I can clearly see they're shivering. And I don't know if they're, again, goes back to my story. Are they shivering because they're cold, or are they shivering from fear? I don't know the difference. I can't tell. But they were acting weird. Um, and that happens sometimes, because sometimes the ladies hate us. Some of them, some of them are tried and true Al Qaeda ISIS chicks. Um, so I tell the medic who's with me, hey man, get him out of this open area and put him in that room where all the kerosene heaters are and the blankets, and let him be more comfortable. So he tells them to move, and they don't move. And that was weird, because usually they're very happy to get out away from our presence and into some place that's warm, you know. Something isn't right. Something isn't right. I'm like, my spidey senses. And finally the medic, he kind of walks over there, and he like shoves them and says, he starts pushing them like, hey, get in this other room. And then the woman that was sitting on the bed, she stands up. And immediately I'm like, "Guh-guh?" She's like 6'2", you know. She ain't a cheat. I'm kind of realizing at the same time, like, that's a big chick. You know what I mean? Like, like, I'm not really, it's not all coming together yet. And then he turns around, and he faces me, and now again, it doesn't take long, right? Because as I'm looking the guy up and down, I see he's got boots on. You know what I mean? I can see pants underneath, because as tall as he is, the little dress only comes to here. I can see his pants and his boots. You know what I mean? His big ass feet, and I'm like, that's either a goonie goo goo, or that is. And then he turns around, and I know Sammy and Rami. I've met them. I've talked to them, and it was Rami. And I look at him, and I go, Rami. And he's got that little baby, and he has a knife in his hand. Uh, he just says, "Hey, you need to let me go now, or I'm going to kill the baby." And he's kind of holding the baby, like almost like you would hold a cat with its scruff, because he was holding it like this, but then he's got it because the baby's all wrapped up, and he's like holding it like this. You know what I mean? He's got the knife and this little baby that's kind of like just kind of hanging there. The baby was wrapped, like his arms are like this, but his feet are all like wrapped in like a little blankie thing. And he says, "I'm going to kill the baby." And I look at Rami, and I said, "I don't know that baby. I came here for you." And he looks at me, and I look at him, and I start to raise my rifle, and he's just like, "Ah," and he throws the baby and the knife down on the bed, and puts his hands up, and then we arrest him. And I don't allude to it in the book. I think I leave it kind of this cliffhanger, if I was bluffing or not. But the reality was, I wasn't. Again, you talk about personal and impersonal. It's not that I didn't care about that kid, but I was there for Rami. And if he killed the kid, I'm killing Rami. You know what I mean? So I didn't really, again, you don't, you just, uh, this happens faster than I'm able to tell this story. All of this happens fast, and it's one of those instances in the book where I'm writing this out, and I'm just like, man, I didn't care about that kid. I didn't want the kid to die, but it was like The game is afoot. What do you want me to do? He's there, knife to the baby. He whipped that card down. You know what I mean? And the card in my deck is not you go free. You know what I mean? I have two cards in my hand. One is you die, and the other one is you get handcuffs put on and you go and you leave with us and you go to prison. I don't have a card that says you go free. You know? So I hope people understand that and appreciate that. I did not want to see that baby die. And of course I thought about can I shoot Rami so fast in the lights that he won't be able to stab that baby? But I didn't think I could because my gun was down here and he, you know what I mean? And he was up here. So yeah, I don't know how this lands with listeners. But I hope if you're a soldier out there and this is something that you're wrestling with and you don't know how to put it into terms, maybe this idea of like you gotta play with the hand you've been dealt with, right? Like, dude, I didn't choose that hand. You know, I didn't set those conditions. So, uh, I don't know. Maybe someone else would have let Rami go, but that's not me, and that's not any good special forces soldier I know, and that sure as shit ain't a Delta Force operator. And you know, the Jack Nicholson type stuff. You know what I mean? You need me on that wall. You need men and women that can separate this. That war requires that. Not everybody, but you need a group of people that are professional and meticulous with this decision making and don't get bogged down in the emotion. You have to have that in warfare. Um, but we also need to know how to heal those people when they come out of that. Because I think that truth that I was prepared to sacrifice that baby for Rami, I always knew it. I didn't really face it until I wrote that book. You know what I mean? And I don't feel guilty about it today. He's the monster, not me.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. As you could probably tell, this is a brand new channel. So if you got anything out of this at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I see every like, I read every comment, and I appreciate all of it, especially in the beginning, because as you know, that kind of support goes a long way on these platforms. So most importantly, I have some awesome guests coming up in the future for interviews. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But again, thank you for your time. Appreciate the support and hope to see you again soon.